everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff, and boy howdy, do I have a treat for you today. We're taking a look at the QSP Vault. Now, your eyes are not deceiving you. You are not seeing double. There are indeed two knives on the table right now. How unusual. How odd. I normally don't get to take a look at two versions of the same knife, but today is not a regular day. So, this one right here was loaned into the channel by Old Tonto Guy a while back. I need to get this back to him along with all the other stuff he sent. Really, really appreciate it. And it was because he loaned me this knife and I got to handle it and carry it for a while that I decided, holy cow, this thing is awesome. I need one of my own. And so I got this one for me. Guys, this is a really sweet knife, and if you've been watching the shorts that I've been making about this knife or keeping up with the channel chatter, you'll know that this is more than likely going to be my knife of the year for 2024. Kind of a spoiler for the rest of the video. You know, I'm sorry. Maybe now you feel like you don't have to watch the whole thing, but if you want to find out why this knife is so freaking awesome, stick around. Let's take a look. So, let's start off with our size comparisons, and we are going to use Old Tonto Guy's version for our size comparisons. Blade length measurements. Sharpened edge is coming in here just at about 3, we'll call it 3 inches. Whoops, get on screen, Gideon. Yeah, we'll call that 3 inches, maybe just a hair under, but for all intents and purposes, 3 inches. If you measure all the way back to the scale, 3¼ inches on the dot. Let's grab our size comparisons. First of all, our rat, as always. There's the 2 and the 1. Look at that. So pretty, I don't know, average size knife. That's a weird word to use. I mean, average size knife. There's literally millions of knives out there. I'm not sure what the average size is, but pretty standard EDC size, I guess maybe is a better way to say that. Let's go ahead and bring out our USA Made comparisons. There's a Benchmade Bug Out. The Spyderco PM2, very similar in size to the Bug Out. Sweet. Let's bring out our Civivis. There is the Elementum. And there is the Praxis. Cool, cool, cool. And let's go ahead and grab some QSPs to compare against. Took me a second to dig them out, but here we go. First of all, here is the Penguin, the classic. And here's the QSP Hawk, another very, very cool QSP knife. And fun fact, I intend to give both of these knives away to channel members here in the coming weeks. So if you're interested in getting a free knife, become a channel member. I mean, I guess it's not completely free, but if you're interested in getting a knife for a much lower price than it would cost otherwise, you can become a channel member. But these are the only 2 other QSP knives I've reviewed up to this point, and these are all basically the same size. QSP definitely has a preferred size range for their knives, which is not bad. I mean, it's a good size, but just kind of interesting. Okay, what are we looking at in terms of our materials? Well, we have a 14C 28N drop point blade. Steel. Are these steel bolsters or are these aluminum? I should actually check that. I mean, am I going to be able to tell? You know what? Let's run to a spec sheet real quick. Yep, they are aluminum bolsters on top of steel liners. Micarta scales. This has a crossbar lock, or it's the glide lock as QSP calls it. Guys, can we just call these things crossbar locks? Like, stop coming up with stupid names. Tangent. But steel pocket clip, we're running on bearings, and this knife is the brainchild of Jacob Lundquist. Congratulations, man. You made, or you designed, one hell of a knife. So, let's go ahead and go cut some stuff, shall we? Hey guys, are you ready to do some review cutting? Boy, I sure am. But let's take a moment and just enjoy this view. So currently I'm actually heading back home from Blade Show West, and I'm in my hometown. These are the Tussis Mountains. This is where I grew up. This is where I spent many, many years cowboying and things. And these cliffs back here are the Brazos, and this is Brazos Peak, which is the tallest point in the Tussis Mountains. Tusa Mountains are a sub-range of the Southern Rockies. But look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. This might be the best place I've ever done review cutting. I wanted to do review cutting here for quite some time, but just never have, and so we're going to do it now. Today we're going to be doing review cutting with the QSP Vault. Now, I've always wanted to do review cutting here, and it's fitting that I saved this amazing location for an amazing knife like this. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's start with that action. Crossbar lock, thumb studs, fantastic action. That thing pops so nicely, and it drops like you want it to. It's a free swinger, and the lockup is Bank Vault Solid, as you might expect from the name. Yeah, the action, fantastic. This knife, in conjunction with a couple of others, have revitalized my interest in crossbar locks, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that it feels like it has a detent. And I'm going to make a whole video about that. You can check that out when it comes out. But for now, we're just going to talk about this knife here. Okay, let's talk about those ergos. Very, very good ergonomics. This thing fits my hand so well, and that's one of the things that I love about this knife so much. You do have a finger choil up here that you can choke up into if you want. I made a video all about my thoughts on finger choils. You can check that out. But yeah, the ergos themselves are excellent. We are slightly contoured here. The micarta feels great. That clip doesn't really bother me in the hand. And the jimping here is actually pretty good. It could go out a little bit further, but it's pretty good where it's at. I do enjoy these ergos a lot. All right, let's go ahead and talk about it in the pocket. Now, right now, I know I hate to take away that beautiful view, but right now I'm actually wearing not jeans. I normally try to wear jeans for review cutting, just because, but these pants are a little slimmer. However, in the pocket and out, the clip works really, really well. It is reversible, so lefties, you're included, which is fantastic because this is an ambidextrous lock. So this knife is 100% ambi-friendly. And actually, speaking of jeans, I've got an idea. Wait just a second. Look at this. I have a pair of jeans in my truck. we can do like this. Since the jeans are a thicker material, yeah, the pocket clip still works just fine. Super, super deep carry. Works wonderfully. No complaints with the carry there. The knife itself got a little bit of weight to it, but nothing that I think is going to bother most people, and it is fairly slim, so it carries great. All right, let's go ahead and cut some stuff. This blade is a drop point, very classic drop point, made of 14C 28N. I love that steel. A lot of people do. We have a flat grind, kind of one of those grinds that's like a mix between a full flat and a saber grind. Basically, it's going to function like a full flat grind. See that tip there? Decently thin. Let's go ahead and cut some. There we go. Slices just fine, like you want your EDC knife to slice. No complaints there. All right, let's bring out our rope. Guys, look at this. I'm getting low on review cutting supplies. I need to go and buy some new rope. I should have bought a pool noodle a while back. This is all we've got left, and it's getting to be fall, so pretty soon I'm not going to be able to find those, but I was an idiot and didn't pick up an extra, so I'm going to have to go and do that eventually. All right, let's do a pull through. Ooh, felt fantastic. Let's go ahead and tilt down just a little bit more. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that did really, really well for a knife of this size and this kind of geometry. Not upset at that whatsoever. Okay, let's get our pool noodle out. Let's do a couple of passes on this thing. 1, whoop. Choils. Have I mentioned that I don't really appreciate choils that much? Let's be a little more careful. 1. 2. 3. So, where'd that first one go? There it is. So the first one, I was being careful. I got caught in the choil and kind of ripped out. That sucks, but that was kind of my fault. That wasn't due to the geometry of the knife. Let's look at these other cuts where I was a little more careful. Yeah, look at that. Those are nice, crisp cuts. Did not bind up or snag going through there at all. That right there is good geometry in my book. All right, give you one last look at this thing. Let's go to the table. We're back, baby. Alrighty, let's get into what I'm liking and not liking about this awesome knife. So, number one, these two feel identical. So, fit and finish, quality control there at QSP is top notch. These two knives are absolutely identical. Let's talk about this one real quick. So, this one right here has the black wash finish with the brown micarta. There are a lot of different versions of this knife available, and it was very hard for me to choose which one I wanted. The green micarta ones looked really, really good. I'm glad I went with this one eventually. The satin finish on this one looks incredible. It's a very, very nice satin finish. It's got fingerprints and stuff all over it right now. I did use the snot out of this knife, but once I got my own, I tried to not use this one as much so that, we could keep it nice and pristine for old Tonto guy. But there we go. Really, really nice satin finish blade. I love the way these things look. This is a good looking knife. That bolster is so classy. I love bolsters. You guys know this. I think bolsters are just phenomenal. They add so much sex appeal to a knife. And it's no different here. The clip is also really, really cool, kind of sleek and minimalist, kind of fits in with this design. And this is a pretty standard looking knife. I mean, it's a drop point folding knife. We've seen this a million times, but I think it's got just enough character to make it stand out from a group. Like if I just saw the silhouette of this knife, I think I'd be able to recognize it. It got kind of this goofy swoop down here in the handle, which we'll talk about later. It's a good looking knife. I really, really appreciate it. I like QSP's pivot logo right here, little triangle in the circle, kind of classy, looks pretty sweet. If they ever decided to do like some Harry Potter themed knives, they could easily turn this into the symbol of the Deathly Hallows or something. Not saying they should, but it's just a thought that occurred to me. Branding on the blades are very minimal. Got the QSP logo up there, very, very tiny. Over here, we've got Jacob Lundquist's logo and the steel marking. Yeah, really, really awesome. Next thing, these knives are completely ambidextrous. We have these crossbar locks with dual thumb studs, and the pocket clips are reversible. So thank you for looking out for the lefties. These are going to be 3 knives in a row that I reviewed that are all ambi-friendly. So lefties rejoice. This has been a good couple of weeks for y'all. The pocket clip itself is really, really neat. It attaches from the back here, as you can see with that little screw. So flip it over, you just take that screw out and then flip it over. Very deep carry. This thing disappears in your pocket. Absolutely phenomenal. And the clip itself, it's very simple, it's very plain, but I think that really works for the knife design. Does not bother me in the hand whatsoever. Let's talk about those ergos. Jimping on top of the blade is good. I do prefer the jimping on this one a little bit more. I think the coating gives a little more grippiness. This one's a little bit smoother. And I do wish the jimping came out further, but we'll talk about that later. The ergos themselves are just really, really nice. This thing fits in my hand so well. That little swoop that I was talking about, it conforms to my palm really nicely. I've never seen this type of thing on a knife before, really. And I want to see more of it. That's very, very cool. The scales themselves are actually contoured very slightly, so it fills the hand really well. We're kind of tall here, thinner here, but it just works. This thing locks in, and it's very, very comfortable. You do have a choil here that you can choke up into. I will talk about my thoughts on that later, but a lot of people like things like that. So yeah, the ergonomics on this knife are pretty fantastic. Let's talk about that blade. 14C 28N, great steel. I don't think I've met anyone who doesn't like that steel. If you're one of the people that doesn't like 14C 28N, I guess let me know in the comments below. And it's good to meet you. But the blades themselves are really, really nice. We have, for all intents and purposes, full flat grinds. These things cut really, really well. You can see here we don't get down to the most, razor thin edge, but we get down to a thin enough edge. The geometry is done really well. These are ground very, very precisely, very evenly. They cut really nicely. And as far as an EDC knife goes, they cut just as well as they need to. I didn't mention the thumb studs are really, really comfortable. That kind of goes with the action. Did we talk about the action yet? No, we haven't. Let's start talking about the action. Sometimes, even though I've got these notes I'm looking at, I get lost because I'm the big dumb. Anyways, the action is fantastic. Phenomenal, phenomenal action. This thing feels like it has a detent. This might be the best crossbar lock action I've ever felt. I mean, this thing pops. And of course, we're running on bearings, so we're loosey-goosey. And I really, really love how they have their grips for the crossbar lock. Instead of just like the little studs you normally see, we've got these flat pads. And I love that. The jimping on these is excellent. They're nice and grippy. They're easy to use. They look good. I mean, man, that looks so good. And I don't know if it's just me, but they feel smoother. Like that long pull right there just feels so much nicer. So, got some gunk in there. Blew that out. Yeah, I'm a big, big fan of how they're doing their crossbar lock. Very solid lockup. No wiggle or nothing. Just really, really nice. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, this is a phenomenal action. Absolutely phenomenal action. Next thing, the hardware on the outside is very minimal. I mean, you have these two screws here, and then you're going to have screws, underneath right there to take everything apart. But looks very clean, very classy here on the outside. Let's talk a little bit more about the performance. This thing is kind of shaped like an arc. I mean, this is a pretty aggressive drop point. That really drops down a little. And what that means is you can get to that point very easily. You've got a nice little bit of belly up there so you can crunch down on zip ties and stuff. But the way that the blade and the ergos complement each other is really phenomenal. And yeah, it just works really, really nicely. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about some negatives. And I guess one negative is that the black coating on this version you can see here is starting to wear off a little bit. I don't really mind that, but, some people might. Fit and finish, by the way, was excellent. I think I mentioned that earlier, but in case I didn't, fit and finish out of the box on both these was absolutely excellent. Next thing that I kind of don't like, T6s, not the end of the world, but it's a thing. I do wish the jimping came out a little bit further, be a little more useful. It's not bad where it's at, but I would like to see, maybe one or two more jimps. And the biggest issue that I have with this knife is actually the finger choil. I wish it wasn't there. I really wish it wasn't there. I wish they brought the edge all the way back to here, because I noticed that while using this knife, I would continually just get things caught in that finger choil. This grip here, I don't think is super useful or important. I've got a whole video coming out about finger choils. It might already be out. I don't know. But you can check it out when it does come. I think this knife would have been much better if you just had this single grip and had brought the edge back a little bit more. I think the knife would have functioned more. You would have been able to kind of maximize more edge out of your blade length, because right now you actually don't really have that much edge compared to the size of the knife. And that's my biggest complaint with this thing, for sure. All right, let's move on to final conclusions. Let's start with the price. These are in like that $85 price range. Now, I got mine on sale. I did not pay that much for it. And when I first saw the price for these things, I was like, no way, that's way too much. But after carrying and using them as much as I have, I gotta say, I don't think the price is outlandish. These things do feel like a step up from, a Civiv, like your regular Civivis or things like that. These feel pretty classy. And so I don't think the price range is outrageous. And of course, 14C aluminum, the steel, the micarta, you know, maybe the materials do add up to that, but I think what makes the price more understandable is just the fit and finish, the quality, the execution. I mean, these knives feel so good. I think that they're worth the price. So, do I recommend this knife? Yes, absolutely. Of course I do. Of course I do. This thing is, an incredible knife. There we go. I absolutely love this thing. This is one of my favorite EDC knives ever. Now, this thing is just so cool. It's so cool. It's so classy. This thing, I think, is going to be an evergreen model in QSP's lineup. So, there we go. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment below, and subscribe. Big shout out to my channel members at the Cowboy level. Really appreciate everything they do. If you want to be a channel member, there's a link down below. And again, big shout out to Old Tonto Guy for sending this knife into the channel. I really appreciate it. All right. That's going to be it, folks. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.